the magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future. Transformers Slag Podcast.
What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? It's the Transformers Slag Podcast Saturday Night Live Stream main event. I'm your host, Protoman. I think you probably know that. I'm the face that runs this place. I'm the voice you hear Monday to Friday. And it is Saturday. Maybe some people saw in the community notes, my Japanese trip has kind of been pushed back a little bit. I'd like to say why, but it's NDA business related stuff. So that's all I'm going to say. It's been pushed back a little bit. So you're stuck with me for a few more weeks on the weekend. So how we all doing? Who's in the chat today? We got the Twins Corner, two of my patrons. We got Ninjatron. What's up, Dylan? We got Patrick Brown. We got Transformatics. We got Robotomus. We got Talib. I don't want to miss anybody. I got to pull up the old thing here. We got Will Murphy, Fair Lady Z, one of my patrons. We got James. We got T-Formers 2002. We got Patrick Brown. We got, who else? Let me just keep on scrolling. Bigham is here. We got Ashnud is here. I hope I'm not missing nobody. Star Warrior, one of my patrons. James Hopkins, so many people. I'll catch you all on the flip side in a moment. Kind of had to throw this all together. Mayoral Fabrication, what's up? So then, we got a few things to talk about today. What's up, Larry? Some news updates, little things here and there that came out of the factories, a heated discussion, a post that I did yesterday that some Hasbro people are like, woo, Proto, you are so lucky that the higher ups don't see what you say. But yeah, going to be a nice one today. I'm curious to see what the super chats are and people's opinion. It's going to be one of those. Let's put it that way. It's going to be one of those. So let's start from the beginning. Once again, super chat your stuff if you like. We got the beautiful YouTube members also that are going to be contributing. Orlando, how you doing? It's going to be one of those. So let's start, of course, with Lego. It was actually quite a busy Lego weekend in the Proto Man household. A lot of Lego was purchased. Not for me. I'm not a big Lego person, but the significant other is quite the Lego person. But yeah, so this Lego Soundwave supposedly is now more and more becoming a reality. Originally was rumored from a Russian Lego news website that I believe was on Instagram, and then this showed up on BrickTap, which is a much more credible source, and then I think what was the other one? BrickFan, which is another super credible source. So a lot of the more credible people, from what I was told within the Lego community, have been coming forward and saying, yeah, this Lego Soundwave is a reality. It's going to be happening in 2025, and stay tuned for that. All I could say is it doesn't surprise me. When we were having these Lego discussions before, I always said Soundwave seems like the logical choice to go with next, just due to simplicity of design, ease of transformation, notoriety within casual fans. I mean, the average hardcore Lego fan that doesn't engage with Transformers much, but picked up the Optimus or picked up the Bumblebee because of its pop culture relevance, Soundwave's on that same wavelength. You know, Soundwave, you might not know Sound Tape Guy with the dog in his chest, but you remember it vaguely with his weird sounding voice. And it's something that I feel that Lego could get away with how they do their bricks, the design, the transformation. They don't have to pay a license. You know, that was the big problem with the Bumblebee was, you know, they didn't want to pay a Volkswagen license for this individual product. So it's so easy. And really, at the end of the day, when you think about what other Decepticon characters you do a Starscream, that's a war machine, you know, and Lego's done jets here and there. But Starscream's one, and then Megatron, which good luck. Tank gun, forget it for either with Lego. So it's something that Soundwave is the obvious choice if you were going Decepticon. Obviously, with Autobot, we still got the Grimlocks, you know, that would fill in that void too, that I imagine would come at some point. But yeah, Soundwave makes sense. I imagine he's going to be in that same price point as the Optimus, maybe with a little bit of a inflation boost from the modern MSRP of 2024 going into 2025. So I'm imagining like 179.99 USD. And for Canadians, like what, 130, 230, 240 Canadian. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We'll get more info as it comes. I mean, this is a guy that I imagine probably come with Laserbeak or Buzzsaw, and then we'll get an upgrade pack on the side. Something really cool. Something really cool, I imagine. Chuck, what's up, Chuck, with the super chat for 2 bones. Thanks for answering my question about TFCon Chicago. No problem, man. No problem. Chicago is still so far away that I a lot of times people ask me when I'm going to shows, and I always tell them, let's talk about the one that's happening now, and then we'll worry about those later. Like, as it stands right now on the Proto Man timesheet, it's at some point Japan, and then at some point TFCon uh, LA, which is going to be in March. That's the only 2 things I know in the near future. I don't know anything between that. Maybe one of my own shows locally here, a high score con that I run, but that's really about it for cons right now. We're entering the holiday season, so. But I hope that answered your question, Chuck. That was on the Discord. For people that are wondering, Chuck wanted to know about running panels and stuff and that whole thing. So hope that helps, and hope that puts everyone in the right direction. So yeah, we're going to see what's happening with this Lego Soundwave. Not much again we could say. It's the same thing like what happened with the Bumblebee. We had early rumblings, and not too long after that, there was early photos that get out there. The Lego community is just as passionate as the Transformer community, and when those early items start leaking out of the factories, oh, we'll know. We'll know. We will know quite quickly. Then we got this guy, speaking of coming out of the factories. So, yeah, Age of the Primes, Voyager Class Armada Red Alert, and he's not a extensive retool of the JP93. There's a weird mix-up right there. JP93, Jurassic Park. Funny enough, those movies were playing today on television. I think it was Lost World and the first one were playing on TV. I forget what channel it was. It was playing in the background. But yeah, so this is a brand new tooling from the ground up. No surprise. Like I said before, my individual segment, I'm sure this is going to get plenty and plenty and plenty of repaints and retools from it. I know that some people are already suggesting a whole bunch of really creative stuff, but I imagine even beyond just even the creative stuff, like just the straight up repaints that we could get just from the Red Alert side of things. I mean, look, the Power Link, the Prowl repaint, the Inferno repaint from the 2007 movie. That's 4 from this mold right here. That's already, thumbs up success from Hasbro. And considering how, and we're going to get into this discussion later, how, things might be getting a little tight for Transformers in the future. This is something I could totally see them leaning on. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we'd just be returning back to that 2004 to 2008 era of straight up repaints that someone's buying them. Might not be me unless it's on clearance, but someone's buying them. And if they don't cost a lot to manufacture and it still moves product, at least to some shape or form, we will see. We will see. But it is what it is. I like that it has all those Minicon suggested ports in all the right places like the original, be it on the front end of the vehicle, on the doors, or on the weapon itself that's translucent. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. Craziness, absolute craziness. And then we got this guy too. This came from In Demand Toys. And In Demand Toys, yeah, man, like I am quite surprised how well this turned out. I am really surprised. I mean, it shouldn't surprise me the mold that it used because we had the War for Cybertron Voyager Class Studio Series Ratchet already. But I was almost in my mind expecting like something that was a straight up repaint outside of like a new head. But they did a whole new tooling for the shoulders. They did a whole new tooling for the chest and the upper torso. obviously the new head sculpt. So the Ironhide turned out very well. And this again, and this is probably going to go more into my discussion later, there's an interesting lean on video game stuff and the iconography and the logos and the stuff that Activision was doing. And yes, Hasbro owns all of that, but it's really interesting that they're really bringing attention to that and tucking away the whole gamer edition idea that they had before. Oh, it's War for Cybertron Gamer Edition. Now they're really showing screenshots on the back of the box and showing the logo for the game. I think something's cooking. Something's cooking in the future, and we'll stay tuned for that. Aaron, what's up? How you doing? You didn't do a live stream yesterday. I was so disappointed. Guess you were busy, brother. But yeah, I love it. I think it looks great, the Ironhide. I mean, the only complaint that I could understand with people is the coloring isn't really screen accurate. But I mean, I don't think the budget for the deco for a Voyager class could pull that off. That metallic, gritty War for Cybertron kind of look. So you got to do a molded in red and then just hope that it's just the right color red. You know, that's all I could really say. The budget just isn't there. Maybe we'll get, what was it called? Premium finish when Japan did the premium finish line. Maybe we'll get a premium finish of some of these guys at some point. Hey, they reissue the video game. Japan gets behind it. Big premium finish. It's all going to look good. It's all going to look good. That's what I would hope, but no promises there. But it looks great. Comes with his axe, which also the ratchet came with. And the fans pointed out, yeah, the gun that comes with him is that pump shotgun from the game, which is different from the scope that the Starscream came with. I knew they were different. You could clearly see visually there was a difference between what Starscream came with and this one, but I wasn't too sure which gun it was trying to represent from the game. So they say it's the pump shotgun. I'll go with the fans. They sometimes know what they're talking about. So, alrighty then. Looking good. That one we're probably going to see more about because Nate talked about how in December we're going to be getting a live stream. So we're probably going to get a whole bunch of studio series reveals for that live stream. And go check out my Ironhide segment because we cover all the other stuff that potentially will be in the pipeline for that live stream. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to learn more, go check out that segment. Then we got this one here. We got this Chinese another blind box series. This is the Auldey. I love Auldey. I haven't seen that name in forever, like I said, but the Auldey Alpha Action Elite Wave 1 of 4 to 5 inch super articulated non-transformable transformer figures, which is I'm intrigued, I'll be honest with you. Because if they're articulated and they're pretty cool little figures like that, I mean, the Jazz looks really good. That's a Fluoro Deary Jazz if I ever saw one. That cliff jumper with his big cannon looks awesome. The RC looks great. I can't complain about these. And that image on the bottom left there shows just how articulated they are. So they do a really good job there. They're going to be blind boxed. We have 7 here. And I talked about in the individual segment how at being 7, there's got to be chase figures because 7's a weird odd number. And here's an update. There is chase figures. This was as of today. Auldey on their Weibo official social medias. They posted the 2 chase figures. You're going to get a repaint of the Optimus into Toy Optimus, which is going to have the toy colors and then a separate sticker sheet on the side if you want to really go extremely toy accurate with the chrome and foily kind of stickers on them. And then you have a clear redeco of the Starscream into Sunstorm, the crazy I Am Primus nutty Sunstorm. I always lean on his IDW version. Always dug that one and the E-Hobby comic. So very, very cool. No surprise here. Again, so this is 2 blind packs, which puts it up at 9 releases. I imagine probably a case of 10. You're probably going to end up with a double somewhere. Probably going to end up with 1 chase figure. I don't know how the distribution is going to work, but these will be blind packed, but they are very cool. So I'm very curious to see where they go from here. Clearly, Blockies is telling China, you got to double down on this stuff because the blind pack thing is here to stay and people are loving it. But Blockies is an assembly kind of thing. I don't know how these are going to be, but I dig them. I think they look cool. Very, very cool. Then we got, oh, what's up, Lizard Sphere? And T-Formers 2002. Then we got Free Comic Book Day. So Free Comic Book Day did a huge announcement on their website, and go check it out, freecomicbookday.com, for more information and the full list. But they did a huge announcement of all the comics we'll be getting in May 3rd of 2025. Free Comic Book Day normally is the first Saturday of May. Usually it falls on like, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and then they could do some kind of Star Wars reference or whatever, but it's going to be May 3rd, 2025. Check Comic Book Day, freecomicbookday.com for your local comic book store. They have a store finder on their website. You can find out what store is near your geolocation and if they are participating or not, and how many books they'll have and everything like that. Every store is different, but usually in general, how it works is your comic book store will get a stack of multiple books that are under the Free Comic Book Day monarch. And yeah, usually you could get two. Sometimes places give you four. What I like to do is I like to pick up the books and then, buy something from the store, because usually these stores, they also use it as a day to do sales and get new customers. And hopefully, like I always say, get people addicted to comics. And if you give them their first cigarette, maybe they'll get addicted and want more, and they make a new customer. So IDW is not going to be doing Free Comic Book Day anymore. Now it is under the Skybound, and Skybound has Transformers: The Worst Spot Ever as one of the free comic books. We talked about this on the podcast. I think this is just a preview of it, because Worst Spot Ever is slated to be a graphic novel, so this might be a preview of Worst Spot Ever, maybe one chapter or something. And then the rest of it is advertising for the other Skybound stuff. You also have an Energon Universe G.I. Joe book. So that's two Transformer kind of related books that will be available on Free Comic Book Day. And I got to put my boy Mega Man, because he's going to be getting a free comic book also through Udon, and Udon's got their initiative and everything. There's going to be a G.I. Joe book. There's a King Arthur and the Knights of Justice book. There's Gargoyles. There's Speed Racer. 80s and 90s love. I know I'm forgetting more than I'm remembering, but go check out freecomicbookday.com. The spread is crazy. It is crazy what is going to be there. And go check it out. Go support your local comic book stores. And yeah, awesome, awesome stuff. The Twins Corner with the super chat. What's up, Twins? Is Studio Series completely done with the inner box to play stand feature and the numbering system on the box for all future releases? That's what it's looking like. I mean, I talked about it. Let's pull up this one here. I talked about it, I think last week. The vibe that I'm getting, the major vibe that I'm getting is, I feel like when we had the original Studio Series, there was a numbering system that existed for the American releases, and then there was a numbering system that existed for the Japanese releases that was completely different. And I feel that they might be going for just something that's more of a cohesiveness, that it's so much easier just to have a simple system across all the different regions. I'm kind of reminded, like during Power of the Primes, how there was just like the co-development with Takara Tomy, and how just the packaging was similar with just like one or two stickers put over certain regions. It's an easier way to do about it. I kind of agree with it personally. And I mean, also, this is the return to the bubbles on the packaging. It's something where I think that the removal of the extra inner cardboard display could offset the cost there, and then put the bubble. It is what it is. Hasbro's like, we listen to the fans. And then a couple weeks before that, we're trying to save the environment. And then, oh no, we're losing money. But yeah, we're listening to the fans. And how do we listen to the fans, but also look good, but also not lose money in the process? That's probably where that inner box display background was sacrificed. At least that's my take. Could be wrong. I know it's something I'll definitely bring up in the future with certain individuals, but we will see. But I think it's just a cohesion of product. I think they just want to have packaging that's similar to the Japanese, no confusing numbering. It's the same thing. I remember at one point, Masterpiece in America tried to have a numbering system like Japan. Japan had a steady numbering system all the way back in 2003, 2004, with MPO1, MPO2, going all the way with MPGs and MPMs. And America kind of avoided that for a bit. And then when they did the Soundwave and the acid storm localized over here. What year was that? I think that was like what, 2012, 2011. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they tried to do an MPO1, MPO2, and that lasted all for like 1 year before they just gave up on it because it was confusing for both regions. So it is what it is. Hopefully it all works out in the end. The only thing that kind of sucks is if you're a mint in box collector, there goes the uniformness of the Studio Series line. There has been a change, and it is what it is. But I mean, let's be real. Transformer packaging never stays consistent for any period of time. Even if you look at old G1, after a couple years, it started to change after 3 to 4 years. So nothing was ever too consistent. Always trying to keep those retailers happy, which is always, in a lot of ways, the most important. Speaking of retail product and another factory thing, bam. Yeah. Age of the Primes Voyager Class Prima. Now we have the true molded in color plastic as well as the decos put all over the figure. Still no head. Can't get that head, unfortunately. Um, I don't know why that head keeps disappearing, but at least, confirms more or less the alt mode, confirms more or less the robot mode, confirms that 100% something that we all kind of figured. Opening matrix chamber that could hold a matrix. Again, reminder, that is not the matrix that it comes with. That's the one that came with the Earthrise one. It's just the individual that took the photos was comparing it to the Earthrise one and just used the matrix to show how it works. I mean, I think it looks cool. I'm going to finally be, I guess, retiring this guy that's been sitting on top of my computer forever. The uh, the second repaint of the movie Optimus. This is something Aaron Archer designed in a day. I always liked the second repaint because it has a more organic Cybertronian look with the Cybertronian design with the deco. And then I gave him that little sword, which I believe Dr. Wu created. That's the metallic one with the translucent. So, I mean, finally going to be retiring that as my Prima, and we're going to be getting this one. So, very, very cool. Very, very cool. But we will see. T-Formers 2000, this is our first Prima mold, and that's not a retcon, right? Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. We've never had a Prima anything. I mean, the Aaron Archer Optimus Prime preview meteorite figure, whatever you want to call it, protoform Optimus, was retconned only because of, I think it was Tales from the Fallen, issue number 1 or 2, where they retconned Prima as using that mold. But then Optimus also had that mold in the comics as his protoform design. So, yeah. So this one here is the first time. This is a toy made to be Prima. It's 100% Prima. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Any of the original 13 stuff, getting toys, sign me up. I go out of my way to buy those more godly figures of Transformers. Oh, there's a clear green Target Master repaint that has been retconned into Primus. I got to go out of my way to find that. That's always how it's been for me. And so it's something that retail product is going to be a wave 1 retail product, Voyager class, so it's not super expensive either. Sign me up. Sign me up. I'm excited about it. And again, I feel this guy's going to have some kind of trailer connection later on. Maybe they'll do some kind of retool with this into a leader class, and it'll be used as a trailer for something. I saw some good suggestions. I don't want to go too deeply into them, but I saw some really good suggestions by people, and I could kind of see them. So we'll see. We'll see. Robotimus Toys, Prima looks cool, very excited. Lizard Sphere X, can't wait for the line. So far, so good. Yeah, you know what? Will it be successful for the casual fans? That's hard to say, but will it be successful with the hardcore fans that are looking for something fresh and new that we haven't bought 50 times over? Oh, yeah. This is the kind of, no offense to what Hasbro does, but, sometimes it's like, do I need another hot shot? Do I need another, scatter shot? Do I need another this? Do I need another that? How many Primas do I have in my collection? One retconned Aaron Archer figure. That's it, with a third party accessory. So that's something that definitely needs to be an addition to the madness, for sure. For sure. But I'm excited about it. I think it's cool. We're probably not going to learn anything about these guys yet. These are just kind of starting to show up in the factories and stuff. The same with the Red Alert. So I imagine we probably won't get an official announcement from Hasbro maybe until January. The stream that's going to be happening in December is probably going to be Studio Series. We might get some teasers through the Space Bridge at the end of the December one, but even Nate said they're going with a new kind of schedule. They're going to be going with 4 waves instead of 3. They're going to be making them longer. So January and February really will be when we're going to start really seeing these guys officially in some shape or form. So stay tuned for that. As always on the Transformer Slag podcast, because we'll definitely get you in there with that. James Hopkins, what about Studio Series 6 line? Do you think that they will stay Studio Series 86 or get rid of that too? I think that at this point, I mean, Studio Series 86 at this point really could just open itself up to be more just, hey, let's just do these characters on a much more higher level instead of just a legacy kind of line. And in the same way that Studio Series 86 had always had the movie kind of thing and the tie to that, what will that emblem be in the bottom right? You know, we got different emblems. Let me just go back to it again for the second time, and it will unlock this and then blow it up a little bit, although that probably won't be too great, but why not? You know, uh, in the bottom left where the Ironhide part is, it says War for Cybertron. That's the Activision logo that they did for the games and stuff for Transformers War for Cybertron. And then when we had the Optimus one, it had the Devastation logo. And it has it on the back of it, it has, game screenshots and nice art and everything. So I'm pretty sure they're going to have some kind of like, if we get, I'm just saying, let's say we get Studio Series 86 Blur. Actually, we did get Blur. Trying to think of one we didn't get. Blitzwing, let's say. Although that'd be kind of like, let's hopefully not a leader class, but if they do a Blitzwing, I think it'll probably have the 86 logo, or they'll have just the original Transformers logo, the Transformers, the old G1 logo, and just do something like that. It looks like they're really focusing on video game stuff and movie stuff over the next couple while, which I'm totally fine with. And like I said before, I feel like they're building towards something here. So we'll see. We will see. And the last thing, speaking of movies and studio series and everything, the news, the one that fired up a lot of forums, made a lot of people angry. Social media was a buzz. Let me get a sip of water here because this can be a long one. And it was a interview with Christopher Cox, Chris Cox, with Bloomberg, Hasbro's gaming CEO, to focus on play after paring film assets. And the toy maker is no longer co-financing movies based on its products. We have Aaron in the chat here today. Aaron was on the ground level of a lot of that stuff when it was the co-financing of stuff and the beginning of AllSpark, which later on became AllSpark Pictures, and just building that world for Hasbro, not just with Transformers, but their other brands. The hope that existed back then, especially with the success of the first movie, the moderate to decent success of the G.I. Joe movie. Obviously, we had stuff like Battleship that didn't do well. The Gem movie didn't do well. But for every, swing and a miss, there was success. Regardless if you liked Revenge of the Fallen or Dark of the Moon, they made a lot of money. And those were positive times back then and good outlooks, at least from a financial standpoint, for Hasbro's growth. And through Brian Goldner and the acquisition of E1 Entertainment and clearly his vision with that, there was a belief of growth, the creation of the hub, creating a channel where Hasbro could have all of their properties in one place. There was a belief that Hasbro had something here from a family standpoint, from a growth standpoint, from a business umbrella of all their IPs, that they could almost be their own Disney in a lot of ways. And then, of course, in 2017, we had HasCon, which was kind of the first dropping of the shoe and going, maybe we don't have the power here. And HasCon was not as successful as they had hoped. And then, of course, going into those future movies, Age of Extinction did not perform well as Dark of the Moon. And then sequential movies after that made even less going into The Last Night. Bumblebee, Rise of the Beast did okay, kind of broke even. But, and then, of course, Transformers 1 not doing well and losing a little bit of money, kind of breaking even when it's all said and done. We don't have the numbers for DVD sales and secondary market of home video yet, but it is something I imagine when it's all said and done will be a break even kind of situation, regardless of how well we loved this movie. So it's something that I could understand where Chris is going. And I've said this before, I am not a fan of most of Chris Cox's decisions. I'm even more so not really a fan of his appointing as CEO. I think he did a perfectly fine job at Wizards of the Coast as their president because that's kind of his bag and what he's good at. He was at Microsoft before doing loot crates and blind and all this DLC and everything with their games. It that's totally that's totally his bag. And it worked with that transition going into the TCG world and the Dungeons and Dragons world. I know that a lot of the Magic the Gathering people are not a fan of him, but I could understand how it worked from how it is. Sometimes, let's be real, and I'm not defending Chris, but sometimes you need someone to be that necessary evil to make something grow. You know, the sun creates cancer, but it also grows crops, and it's that double edged sword that kind of exists where the sun might not be good for us, but it's one of those things otherwise. Thank you for subscribing, Super Godzilla X Vlogs. But at the end of the day, I feel that they might be going in the right direction here, and I'll tell you why. Does it suck that we're not going to get future Transformer movies anytime soon unless some company really wants to get 100% behind them without Hasbro's backing? Yeah, that sucks heavily. But it's like I said in my long form rant, in that I feel the world is changing. I really do. And let's just kind of get rid of Chris's face there and everything. I really feel the world is changing in a lot of ways in terms of how uh, the younger demo is consuming media and where we're going with that. The fact of the matter is kids today don't care. They are not excited to go see a movie in theaters. And chances are, if they are excited, it might be more so because you're excited and they just really like you. And if it's your kids and stuff. They rather be on an iPad, they rather be on an iPhone. I go to way too many family gatherings where there is kids between the ages of 7 and like 16, a chunk of them, and they are just on the couch on their phones or on an iPad, like especially the younger ones. The younger ones, it's like they don't have a phone yet, but at least they have an iPad that's kind of their gaming device in a lot of ways. And they're just on that iPad. They are watching a YouTuber, or they're playing some game on their iPad. And that iPad was their big Christmas present that they wanted, or the alternative of that is their Nintendo Switch or something. It gets pretty loaded. And we got a lot of super chats we're going to jump into before we continue. Mark Morales with the $5 super chat. If Hasbro's future has them pivoting to gaming, they couldn't pick a worse time since AAA gaming isn't what it used to be. They need to get serious. Well, let's put it this way. The definition of AAA gaming could also change. It's something where if they could put out a Transformer game, look, there's a lot of really good games that are not AAA that turn a profit that also could advertise an IP. You wouldn't call Angry Birds or Among Us AAA games. You wouldn't, but they shook up an industry and created licensing and marketing and an IP out of those. So it's kind of the same thing where if they could just find something that shakes up everything and it's fun and it's exciting. And yeah, I know people are asking, Proto Man, why didn't you talk about Reactivate or the recent mobile games? Because I don't have anything to show for those that are of success. Number one, Reactivate hasn't come out yet, and or if at all, who knows? And the mobile games really haven't shook up anything. They're fun, they're bite-sized, they're daily kind of work into your daily schedule kind of thing, but they're not something that's really shaking it up and making people go, I really need to get this figure. I really need to get that figure. Oh my God, I just played, Forge to Fight, and now I got to get a Megatron figure or something that I saw in that game. There isn't anything like that where there was people that really got on, they really connected with Among Us. And yeah, it was, lightning in a bottle. People were stuck at home. There's a lot of things that were going on there, but people really got on Among Us. And then there was IP, and next thing you know, like people are putting figures, and there's action figures and plushes and everything, and people were buying them. So it's out there. It makes sense, you know. So they have to find a new platform in order to advertise their stuff. And we'll go to Twins Corner. Thank you, by the way, Mark, for the question. Really good one. Twins Corner with their super chat. Is there suspicion that the marketing team sabotaged TF1 to lead to this decision? Any known info to suggest that Chris wanted this to happen? That's too much 3D chess. I will say this. I don't think the marketing team is that smart to think that deeply. No one is going to invest that much money and Super Bowl ads and putting a trailer into space and all that stuff to only sabotage it. I mean, if they wanted to sabotage it, they would have not shot the trailer into space and do stuff with NASA. I'm just saying, they would have done something way more corny and simple that wouldn't have cost them tons of money and Super Bowl ads and everything. So it is what it is. What are you saying here, Aaron? Gaming to them is partnerships basic to AAA. Yeah, it's all partnerships. It all is, but it's something that I feel. What did you say here? Modern Hasbro leadership is not into creating content like the last gen was. They have moved into licensing and partnership model. Yeah, well, especially that. I mean, look, the hottest Transformer product at TFCon. Think about that. The hottest Transformer product at TFCon that just passed in Baltimore was, oh, I don't have well, I'll just grab this one here, is a licensed product. Hasbro isn't making this. This is someone that licensed it, Blockies, and people were going nuts for these over the weekend. People were building them, collecting them, trading them. There was trading rooms, so let that be a lesson. If some company is willing to fork the dough over to Hasbro to get the license of their product, and then they put out a product that resonates with the fans and it sells well and people are buying them by the cases, then, and then Hasbro looks at, let's say, the Transformers 1 toy line main line, not the studio series, but the main line, and that isn't selling well, or like mass clearance, which I picked a bunch of these up on mass clearance of Rise of the Beast stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it's discouraging for them where it'd be so much easier if someone just pays for it. Look, Marvel doesn't make their own toys. Disney doesn't make their own toys. Hasbro pays a license to them to be able to make the toys. So it's something where Hasbro looks at what they have been doing for years. They did it when it was Kenner before with Star Wars, and then obviously during episode 1 going into the Hasbro era of Star Wars, they were paying George Lucas and then later on Disney to have that license. Same thing with the Disney Princess license. Hasbro pays Disney for those to do all that kind of stuff too. So, yes, they have their own in-ground stuff, but they already have more than 25 years, if not more, from the Hasbro side, ignoring the Kenner merger with Cincinnati. But from the Hasbro side, they have more than 25 years of experience of paying another company to license and do stuff. So they probably are like, hey, how about we get some of that? How about some people pay that? And yeah, sure. For years, it was people making sweatshirts, people making t-shirts. Look, Symbiote Studios pays Hasbro to be able to make t-shirts, to be able to make plushes, to be able to make all that stuff. And the seats. We haven't talked about them in years when they were sponsors, but they had to pay Hasbro to put this guy on there, you know? So for years and years they relied on that, but it wasn't so much about toys. We haven't reached that point yet where someone else is going to be making those transforming figures. It sounds crazy, but it could be a reality one day. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Chris did it on purpose. I think that it's just kind of what's naturally happening. It really is. It's just Look, I hate to say it, but we are going to slowly become what we feared from the G.I. Joe guys, in that we're going to enter an era where we can't be like the Joe guys, where we're like, this is what we want our product to be, and we don't want it to change and be dumbed down and or made for kids or too different. I lived during the Beast Wars era. I lived during it. I was there front and center buying that Cheetor toy off of the shelf, carded back then in 95, 96. And I will never forget because I was also online back then. And I will never forget the herder, truck not monkey, Beast Wars is ruining Transformers. This is not Transformers. This is terrible. It's too different from G1. G1 is so much better. Those lunatics that were just like, no, no, no. But we ignored them. And the kids, the 5 to 9 year old to 10-year-old demo were buying those Beast Wars toys, engaging with the show. And unfortunately, there wasn't much else to engage with outside of a video game and a little this here and there, a Milton Bradley puzzle, but they engaged with the toys 100%. It was successful. And we ignored the guys who didn't want to move forward and evolve and change. It's a different time now. The way of thinking during Beast Wars was 20 years ago. We can't think like that anymore. We cannot have the same mentality of the Beast Wars era. We got to change. We got to do something different. It's just how it is. And I'm not even trying to be cliche, oh, Transformers change and everything. It's just a reality that whatever is going to work is going to work. I said it in my individual segment. Imagine if you were in the 1980s where how you advertised your product was you had a Marvel comic, you had a cartoon, and then you had a toy line. And that was that beautiful synergy that existed. And that was it. There wasn't a video game yet because it was like 1984. Well, you're going to have an Atari game or a Commodore game. At best, that's not an advertising platform. If anything, that's a distance licensing thing at best and a partnership, but it never moved the needle. We didn't enter, like, I feel that marriage didn't really find perfection until the Ninja Turtle era when those games were really good. And then it could be an advertising product for the toys, where Transformer video games in the 80s were, but the one by David Crane on the Commodore and the other one on Commodore and the Mystery of Comboy, I don't think those were moving toy sales. Those were just a side product at best that was almost kind of ignored. And let's be real, comic books today do not move the needle. I don't even want to get into that topic, but it's like they don't move the needle. They don't. They're not something where if you're going to try to make a new audience of Transformer fans, it's not going to happen. Look, everyone was so critically acclaiming James Roberts' run during More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light. It didn't sell any figures. It didn't bring in more toy buys. It didn't. And that was supposed to be this critically acclaimed, oh my God, it's amazing. Comic sales weren't as great as people thought they were. More people bought the Dreamwave books and Pat Lee than they did the James Roberts books. And I'm not trying to throw shade at James. I love James. He knows this. I've talked with him about this. But the reality is, from the business side of it, it didn't translate into people buying toys. If anything, I sat next to James for 5 years, and no one was bringing toys to James to get signed. They were bringing comic books. The comic book people who enjoyed James's books were comic book readers. They weren't toy collectors. There was a little bit of crossover there, but a lot of that crossover was guys like me that were already here. Guys like my buddy David Cabal that were already here. They were like, well, these books are great. Aaron, what are you saying, Aaron? Opinion, toys outside of Play School, Imaginext are no longer for kids. I agree. I agree. And that's because the Imaginext and Play School bubble, that area of toys, is when kids are still in this phase that it's like they're not touching phones yet. They're not there. So brightly colored 3D plastic objects are still, it's kind of like, how a baby has a mobile above its crib, and it's just these shapes and colors and sounds that are just spinning above them, and it's just fascinating to them. That's kind of the Play School thing. It's like it's the early days of them just kind of manipulating a 3D space of a product. But after they're past that, next thing you know, they're on a phone. And that's like 5, 6, 7, which is crazy. which is absolutely crazy. Aaron also says kids today have digital devices and Lego, again, manipulating their spaces with the Lego. I like both Dreamwave and IDW. Kids are playing Minecraft. Exactly. Totally. 100%. Orlando Chavez with the YouTube member question. But what does Transformers do? Toys, movie, comics are on the outs. Even video games don't feel like a force. What else is there besides peddling to nostalgia? Well, and me and Aaron have talked about this before. I think you just got to go where the eyeballs are. Where a kid's looking at, that's where you got to put it. That's the only way that you could put it. In the same way that back in the day with Beast Wars, when Beast Wars was the thing, Beast Wars was like, oh, 1993. Beast Wars was 95, but 1993, Jurassic Park. Whoa. And you have to understand, in 1993, Jurassic Park was the #1 selling movie of all time. Now, granted, 1997, the Titanic movie would come out, but at that time, Jurassic Park was the #1 selling movie of all time for 93, 94, 95, 96, going into 1997. Leonardo DiCaprio died on an iceberg or a piece of wood. I never actually saw that movie, but it's pop culture at this point. Um, you know, it ruled the world. And you don't think Hasbro is going to go like, yeah, we got to get a piece of that. In the same way that Armada was Pokemon, you know, in the same way that Creo was Lego. So they need to see where the eyeballs are and they need to get those eyeballs. And if the eyeballs are on mobile games, if our eyeballs are on streaming devices, if our eyeballs are on big video games or anything, that is the only way you could do it. It's the only way. Look, they're doing a GI Joe game that's like 16-bit beat 'em up, clearly aimed at the 16-bit beat 'em up market, because people who were playing Super Nintendo beat 'em up games are guys like me who are between the ages of like 12 and like 14, and now we're losing our hair and we're 40. So clearly that GI Joe video game that's coming out soon, didn't it come out already, Wrath of Cobra? But now it's coming out, and well, they made a game aimed at guys at 40. That's not how you want to do it. You want to make games that are aimed at that demo. You have to. Clark Clint Gaming, Transformers needs a big live service game with updates constantly. I agree. Where we have it, Orlando Chavez, so Transformers TikTok. Well, maybe not that. I mean, but that would be one way to advertise, but you would have to be advertising TikTok. And I've said this before, any of these things here, they're nothing more than funnels. That's all they are. They're funnels. I post on Twitter. I don't live on Twitter, but I post on Twitter. And I post on Twitter what? Stuff that funnels to my content. That's what it is. That's all it is. I post on this, funnel to my content. They're just funnels. You use social media to funnel to the actual content. So Nicholas Barr with the $2 super chat. Would a TF webtoon help move the needle? Well, right now, Hasbro is trying to put all their stuff on their YouTube channel. They're trying to move everything that has ever existed ever onto their YouTube channel. Takara Tomy on the Japanese side is taking all those Japanese shows and putting it on their YouTube channel. So the effort is already underway, but let's be real, it's almost a little too late for that kind of stuff. Maybe the next show could have some kind of co-release where if instead of Earthspark just being exclusive to Paramount and maybe a Cartoon Network, have it that it debuts on their YouTube channel. And that's it. Because at least you'd be able to they're already on the devices. Hopefully they subscribe and then they just get those latest episodes there, where kids don't even want to watch Netflix on television. They don't want to be in a living room. They don't. The only reason why they're in a living room is because they're forced to be there for whatever reason. If they could be in their bed on a device, in their snuggie, just kind of doing their thing, they rather do that. They don't want to. That's why, there's so many times it's like, no devices at the kitchen table, no devices in the kitchen. It's a sad truth. So to me, the webtoon thing, translates into take the cartoon and instead of having it debut on a streaming service, which is such an adult thing. I mean, it sounds silly, but Netflix and streaming platforms outside of like the ones that are net based, but like when you're talking like the Netflix, the Paramounts, I know I'm forgetting some, the Crunchyrolls, uh, that's almost old now. It's almost passe in a world where technology moves so quickly. Like people don't even care about that stuff anymore. Like people almost get a streaming service just for that one show now. Like they don't even get it because they enjoy the actual service itself. So to me, it's like, why would you do this exclusive deal with Paramount and all this stuff when why not just do it directly? Make a deal with YouTube, say, hey, we're going to give you the exclusive debut of our latest show, and that's that. And dare I say, make it simple, make it simple, make it simple. Sometimes you can't overcomplicate it. I mean, that's what the Japanese did for years. Tom Laney, a Transformers game was just released. Yeah, there was that new one there, the mobile one. But and then of course you have the racing one there that was done through Drip Drop Studios or whatever games, whatever that one, not Drip Drop. The one that did the Cyberverse game, which was kind of, and I love Cyberverse as a series, but talk about a slow, boring video game. I didn't know I needed a extremely vanilla, slow paced, slow action, Fire Emblem wannabe Cyberverse game, you know? Ashton, my 11-year-old, watches YouTube on the TV in his living room. Well, then that's your 11-year-old. But the demographics and the marketing will say otherwise. Maybe because, Ashton, maybe because your child is also seeing you do that. That happens a lot of times. A lot of times, children are also very influenced by their parents. And when you're having more millennial parent now, a parent who's like, has a 5-year-old and they're in their like late 20s, uh, they've already went through that era of kind of abandoning television completely, where we might be a much more older demographic that still remember the good old days of television. So it gets a little deeper. Uh, but wasn't Cyberverse basically a webtoon that came out online? Yes and no. The later half of it was making debuts online, specifically the two movies, but the beginning of it wasn't. Beginning of it wasn't, unfortunately. And Cyberverse was a great example of something that could have worked. It was bite sized. They were 10-minute pieces, but different era. Transformers anime would be dope. Yeah, of course, 100%. I mean, I would love that too, but you know, Japan's in a different place, man. Japan has no children, no birth rates, and the last thing they're going to do is start like really investing in children when they don't really have that. Um, where are we at here, Clark? I feel like Hasbro has done a poor job with the new Transformers media over the last few years. 100%, I agree with that. Whoever was in charge of the cohesion of toy releases and the shows should be fired. I don't know who it is, but I apologize. You should be fired. Um, every series since Prime has been lackluster. I'm not even talking about quality. I'm just talking about even more so just, getting product. Like, I mean, I'll show one thing that we got this week. My pops picked this up from, I don't even know where he got it because the sticker's there on the chest from wherever he got it from. But this was the Power Surge Optimus. This was like a $40 to $50 item. He got it for $1. This was during Transformers Robots in Disguise 2015 when the series really started to decline in terms of interest from the fans from the media stuff. And look at this big gimmicky Optimus figure that no joke probably in this big old box that like just no one cared. By the way, how much was it, Pops? Was it $1 or something? $2 for something that $2, $1 or $2 Canadian, by the way. So like MSRP, what? 50, $60? Probably $70 Canadian in our market. Oof, oof, oof. That's tough, man. That's tough. What'd you say, Aaron? I missed it. Let me scroll back up a little bit. I want to miss what you said here. One moment. What did you say? Everything's getting pushed up. Yeah, we're entering a kind of an era where people are gonna have to figure that stuff out. They really do. Kids today have digital devices and Lego. Oh no, wait, I went too high up. Went too far. My kid is YouTube 100% for his content intake. Oh, dude, totally. 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 Again, I go to Christmas family gatherings on my other side of the family, and it is like we're talking 15 to 16 teenagers to 5-year-olds, and they are just all on their devices and they are just all getting the Wi-Fi password just so they can access YouTube. It's either YouTube, go on Instagram and go through Instagram Reels, or go on Facebook Shorts or TikTok. That's it. Short form content through social media or long form content through YouTube. That's it. And YouTube also has their shorts too. But, that's all it is. That's all it is, man. That is all it is. And they don't like, if someone turns on a TV, they are not even looking at it. You could turn on a TV and have naked ladies and no one's even going to raise their head. That's just how locked in they are, you know? Twins Corner, how would this new policy affect future shows? Not really much. I mean, you look at other shows that already kind of have that system where they make these shows directly for YouTube. YouTube was doing that. What was that show? I think it was called Sherwood. Like YouTube started that years ago where they started brokering deals. When YouTube went to that more long form content where videos weren't just locked at 8 minutes anymore, like that was the limit, or 10 minutes, they started like brokering deals and having YouTube exclusive shows and everything. And look, let's be real. People are making a lot of money being YouTube content creators. And I'm talking like the big echelon guys. And if you could have a guy like Hot Ones, or going all the way back to Smosh and some of those, if they get millions of views per video and they put a lot of commercials on it and they could do just fine, what's stopping a Hasbro from making money doing the same way? It's the same thing. Totally is. Totally is. It's just it's where you put it, you know? Yeah, there's less commercials because it used to be you got a commercial break and you had 5 or 6 commercials before you got back to the show, and now it's like 1 commercial, maybe 2, depending what region you're in, of course. Some people get more with YouTube. But what's up, Brainstorm? But it's something where, look, we're in this kind of situation right now that I feel video games is that's where they need to go. They need to make a decent video game that everything that's in that video game, this is important, everything that's in that video game is a product that's available on shelves. Stop making authentics-based video game product that doesn't have those same figures on shelves. That is brain dead. Stop doing that. Stop making the Galactic Trials game and have all these designs and characters that aren't products. That doesn't make sense because they might go, oh, I like using Nightbird in Galactic Trials. I'm going to go get me. Oh, there is no Nightbird figures. Like but again, that's the proper, if you could have that cohesion, if you could figure that out, if you could plan it, you got to get a guy who knows what they're doing there to do that. And hopefully maybe a Chris Cox could figure that out, you know? What do we got here? Brainstorm 2002 with the YouTube member question. Should 6-shot be the next commander class? Well, I mean, if you're going to have something that's going to have the budget for 6 changers and you're not satisfied with what they did with the leader class with Titan's Return, I could see it. But I think the commander class could be used for much more juicier items. If anything, that leader class 6-shot showed us what we could do within that budget, assuming prices haven't gotten too far away from that Titan's Return era. At least that's what I believe. So, but it's crazy. It's crazy, but they're gonna have to go that route. You put me in Hasbro right now, and you say like, all right, we have a 2-year plan. Like we start planning now, and it'll really be implicated and put out there in 2 years because you need a good 2-year lead time. What do we do? And I'm gonna be like, man, we got to make a line that is cohesion with a video game. That video game's got to be good. It can't be something that doesn't have support. It can't be something that doesn't have online, that it just comes out, people play it for a week and then they move on. You want something that it becomes part of their lifestyle. You want it that it's something that people tune in every day to play. Because if you have a game, look, you could have a triple A Nintendo game like Legend of Zelda Tears of Kingdom, but when people beat it, outside of little, playing in that sandbox, when people beat it, it's done. People move on. Mario Odyssey, they play the game, they put a week into it, and then they move on to the next thing. You want something where they keep coming back. It's a community. Why did Street Fighter 2 do so well all those years ago in the arcade scene? Because it wasn't about beating the game. You didn't take Ryu, beat Bison, and then you walked away. No, you kept coming back because of the community that existed back then in the arcade community and fighting against each other and getting better. It's the same thing. They have to create a game that has a community, that has some kind of ability that people work together and everything works out fine in the same way that Halo worked, or before that with Fortnite or any of those. You have to have that. You have to have that. And unfortunately, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Aaron Arch, if only we could have a six-shot being for fluorescent orange. I don't think you want that, Aaron. I do not think you want that. But that would be the first thing I would do. And then after that game is figured out and the designs are figured out and the transformations and the art style and the art direction, then you turn to the toy guys, be it Takara or Hasbro, and it's like, get to work. You guys work together and get to work. So that way, when this game comes out, and granted, 2 years is a long time for a game to be developed because sometimes technology changes and Unity and everything. But that way, when that thing hits, boom, there's the toys. There's the toys. The hardcore fans, they'll buy it just on the toy aspect. Hey, this is a cool design. That's cool. Let's get that. But there's a game too, and that could happen. That's what you have to do. And then to play it safe, you make a much more dumbed down, simpler version, something that still uses those designs that we established with the AAA game or the mid-tier game, but you also use it on a smaller, more simplified mobile game. And that mobile game could be a gotcha game, it could be a card-based game. Still use those designs though. That way that design exists in two ecosystems. Because that's kind of what happened with the War for Cybertron games. You had the main console, AAA, at the time, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, ecosystem, and here's how we could play the game. But then, by the way, if you have a Nintendo DS, here's War for Cybertron Autobot Decepticons. Like, here's a cheaper version. Oh, we have it for PSP. Here's a much more simpler version. It doesn't have that big ecosystem, but it lets people who have the much more affordable, I guess we'll call it price conscientious markets of owning the product. They don't own the big console, they own the small console. But they could still engage. They could still play the game. Oh, hey, I want to own a figure of that Optimus. Oh, hey, there it is in the Generations line. What Aaron's saying, Aaron Archer embedded the toy designs with the game designs. Well, you know more than me. You did that with Activision, and that has to be done again. That has to be done again. What happened with Activision worked great, but at the same time, it didn't happen again. It happened the first time, they did the second game, and then Dark of the Moon, like they went in other places. Of course, we then entered that Skylanders era where it was games to life and the amiibos came around, and then people were just focusing in different areas. And then Transformers at one point even tried to get into that. They had, I think it was called Zappets or like Rescue Bots had something also that used a toys to life kind of element, but it was more of a plug and play kind of thing, not tied to a console, unfortunately. But they all tried to get in on that. Disney Infinity, Lego Dimensions. Look how that took all that retail space and displays and everything, and then just as quickly, poof, gone. Now you don't see any of that, and you barely see an amiibo in a GameStop now. Different world. Different world. I haven't seen an amiibo in a Walmart or a Target in forever. I only see them at GameStop. It's one or two. Different. Look how quickly that came and went, that fad. Aaron Archer's famous quote, toys are like fashion. It's hot. Everyone loves it. It's the coolest thing. It's the nicest drip. And then it's gone. And then, ew, no one wears bell bottoms anymore. Long socks? What are you talking about? Mark Morales, Galactic Trials uses Evergreen, which is bound to fail. And again, let's say someone really liked that Evergreen Bumblebee. Where do you get that? Do you have to go to a Market 6 store that might be carrying an Evergreen Bumblebee that came out how many years ago? Where do you pick up that Evergreen Bumblebee design? You don't have access to that. That's a very silly thing. You want it that someone could easily get off, like, I love this, gets off their butt and and gets it. Sorry, I had a lot of food today. It was delicious. We had steak. Oh, I'll get into it afterwards. I'm sure someone's going to ask, but you know, it's just we have to have it that someone sees it and then gets. Look, I saw it in real time with the Avengers movies. I had all these people that didn't care about the Avengers, that then after they saw Avengers Infinity War, they're like, dude, like that Thanos guy is really cool. And then we literally, our mall that has the movie theater had a Walmart in it. We walked into Walmart, and then right away, my friend, he didn't buy it, but I saw him pick it up off the shelf, and he looked at it was like this like a simplistic, like 5 points of articulation, but it was like a 12-inch Thanos figure from Infinity War. And he was looking at it and he was like, he was contemplating it, contemplating it. He was looking at it. The gears were turning in his head. And you need to make those sales. You need to. A movie made someone want to buy a product, but Infinity War was many years ago. I think it's been 10 years now almost. Has it been? I don't know. It feels like it's been forever. But it changes. Things change, you know? Things change. Guillaume, Transformers game was never their Force PS2 Armada. Both Cybertron game and the three titles Devastation did not as well as people think. Well, Devastation didn't do as well because it didn't really have a strong physical in a time where downloading a game directly wasn't as big a thing yet, and the physical market of it wasn't huge. It wasn't advertised that big. But the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron game sold very well. The Armada game was, again, what was Transformer games when that Armada game came out? There was nothing really. There was a bunch of Japanese games, a Beast Wars game, and a Beast Wars fighting game through Metals. That was it. You know, different market, different time. You can't look at one isolated time 20 years ago and would say, well, that didn't work. So if that didn't work 20 years ago, why won't it work today? You can't do that. You can't. There's too many things change. Too many things. What worked 20 years ago, what didn't work 20 years ago, might work today. You know, things change. Way too many things change. Let's do some sponsorship. Got to give some love to the sponsors, and then we'll continue our discussion. We got Symbiote Studios, plush pins and t-shirts, rocking this beauty here today. The good old Catnip Bravo Optimus. We got the sludge that's on the stores right now. Go pick it up. And then, of course, we got the Grimlock. We're building our Dinobots. And, of course, the Transformer Slag, a podcast exclusive sludge is also on the store. Go pick that one up. A new print from the San Diego. There's all of them right there. We got more stuff coming in 2025. So stay tuned for that. And of course, all the other stuff. There's a lot. Again, if you're a pony fan, I don't know what's going on. They are releasing new pony stuff like crazy. So if you're a My Little Pony fan, I really suggest you go check out symbiotestudios.com. And again, Aaron Archer's Jam. Got the Art of Transforming Robots book. We got the newest segments, this one here, as well as the podcast panel that we uploaded. Go check out Art of Transforming Robots Volume 3. Aaron will be at LA, hopefully. Looking good so far. So Aaron will be at LA, hopefully. So if you don't want to pick it up from the web store, you can pick it up in person at LA. And here's his newest Posca paintings. He put up the Armada Optimus that he did during his live stream last week. He put up a beautiful Scorponok from Energon, put on a mini comic. So that's another nice one too. And a bunch of others. Go check them out at archermonster.com/shop. Yo. What did Aaron say here? Yesterday's right answers are the wrong answers tomorrow and vice versa. Totally. 100%. 100%. If you were the guy in 1993 that was like, we got to do G1 again and call it G2, how did that work out for you? Project G2 was a disaster that it made Hasbro go, you know what, Kenner? Here you go, And everything worked out afterwards when they went a whole other direction. you know, went a whole other direction, you know? It's to me, like I said, it's got to be video games. That's where the eyeballs are with these kids. If you could get them to be nostalgic, like imagine they play this video game when they're 5, 6, 7 years old, and then you got them because now when they're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, they're an adult, and then they go, man, I had nostalgia. I used to play this game when I was a kid. It was called Transformers, whatever, for my PS7. And it was just so fun. Oh, I wonder if they made toys of that. Like you want to have it that they have fond memories of it, not them having like memories of their dad's stuff. They don't want that. They don't want that. The old marketing campaign. This is not your father's product. They use that for G2. How did that work out for them? But it's like, you can't do that. You got to do new. You got to do different. You got to do something that will appeal to the kids, and it's got to be where their eyeballs are. It's You can't make the greatest Transformer toy line and cartoon and put it on a vinyl record. you know, you can't put it on, physical media. You can't. There was people saying like, "Hey man, like maybe Transformers 1 should be a direct to DVD thing." Why would the fact that they would say direct to DVD shows that their mindset is still stuck in 2006 because nothing is direct to DVD anymore. When was the last time anything has been made to be direct to DVD? It's been direct to streaming services, direct to mobile stuff, direct to online. There's no such thing as a direct to video anymore. Doesn't exist. But there's people that still think like that because they still think they live in that world. And you can't live in that world anymore. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. Clark says Transformers Legacy should have had some kind of media. Well, yes, it should have, but the lack of success from Earthrise and Kingdom made them not do that. It wasn't received well, you know. Someone's gonna look T8000. No offense, bro. Predacon Rising was 15 years ago. There is kids who could drink right now who watched Predacon Rising on direct to DVD. Okay? You don't bring up something that happened 15 years ago. You're going to get fired out of the Hasbro office. They're going to be like, "Really? That's going to be your example? Something that happened 15 to 20 years ago?" You can't do that. You can't. That's a different world. When Predacon Rising came out, most people didn't have smartphones. They didn't even have that. That didn't even exist. When was Predacon Rising? What, 2012, 2013? Like, geez. I think like the iPad had just started really getting a grip on people at that point. And not even then. It wasn't in kids' hands. It was more just in the tech savvy adult hands. 11 years ago. There you go. It's over a decade ago. You can't. You can't tell me something that happened 2 years ago that worked out, 3 years ago that worked out. And even then, it's fashion. It changes so quickly. So quickly. So quickly. Ashton, let me ask you something, because you mentioned Thomas, right? Thomas the Tank Engine puts all of their cartoons and stuff on their social media stuff. How does he watch his Thomas stuff? I'm curious with that one, Ashton. Very curious with that. Orlando Chavez is part of the issue. There will always return to the past. When Beast Wars came out, it was so different and new. No G1 connection. Initially, only common threads were transforming. What worked with Beast Wars was, hey, Jurassic Park is huge. That's what it was. Jurassic Park was huge. If you look at Beast Wars' whole look, it was, yeah, dinosaurs were only a small aspect of it, but when you look at its packaging, that's the dinosaur eye looking into the car, you know? That's the T-Rex eye on the packaging. There was a dino lean. They made sure that the Velociraptor, even though the villains had the dinosaurs, that the Velociraptor was still on the good guys because, again, Jurassic Park just made those things a household name when we didn't even know what it was before. Thank you, Ashnud. Where does Ashnud's kid watch all his Thomas the Tank Engine stuff and watch Thomas the Tank Engine? YouTube. YouTube. So it's going to be YouTube. It's going to be YouTube. It's going to be video games. That's where it's going to be. That's going to be the future. And if they don't do that, they have no right to complain why there is no success. It's not like tomorrow kids all of a sudden are going to go, you know what? I think I am going to sit in one room in the house. First of all, kids, they want to have their privacy. They want to get up to mischief. But so for them to be in the public living room and go, I'm going to sit in the living room and use the big screen TV to watch television and flip through channels that actually take time, as opposed to if you watch any, Gen Alpha on their phone, they're just like, they're doing like 12 things at once. They have their phone open while they have their iPad open. They're like multitasking like crazy, like it's Iron Man, you know, and for them to have to open up the smart TV has to boot up. Doon 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 doon. Okay. Okay, let's open up. All right, all right. Well, here's the list of all the channels. Okay. 555, 556, 557. Any good shows here? 558, 559. Oh, we don't even have those channels. Do we have that cable package? Like you've already lost them. They don't care. They've moved on. They've already opened up their iPad, looked at their favorite subscribers, and there's their latest thing. There's or what has been suggested to them through the algorithm. As someone who makes a living off of YouTube, it's insane the amount of young people who get invested in content. It's not that it's insane, it's that it's the next evolution. If you look at kids in the 1960s, they didn't look up to the same people that we did in the 80s. They're like in that 80s, 90s, we started not even looking up just to actors and celebrities and stuff. We were looking up to sports stars, like everyone in the 80s and 90s who knew who Michael Jordan is. Not everyone today in this modern era know who Steph Curry is, or anyone else really. Most people don't know who Sidney Crosby is, but everyone in the 80s and 90s knew who Wayne Gretzky was, even if they didn't watch hockey. Because those guys became celebrities because that's what was popular to that demo back then. Things change. The thing is that to me, you just got to be where those eyeballs are. If all of a sudden children start, if everything was consolidated into one place and now everyone is consuming their media through the YouTube app on the Nintendo Switch, as crazy as that sounds, if they're doing that, then that's where you need to be. Plain and simple. And then the moment it's not there anymore, you go somewhere else. In the same way that the cool kids always go to the cool party, and if that party sucks, they go to another party. That's how it is. And things change. You can't also go, oh, that's how it is. Okay, we're going to do that. And then go, oh, we're just going to do that forever because that's where it worked. The second things change, you got to move to that new thing. Things change. You got to do that. Quit thinking like, oh, I don't want change. Too bad. You're literally in a hobby that's all about changing. You know? Timmy K, you know who Bo Jackson is? What are we doing? Pro stars here? There's a deep cut. Um, what's hockey? Yeah, from Canton, Ohio. For sure, you're not going to know what hockey is. Clark Clint. David Cabal's here. Get Speed and Kai centric streaming for Transformers. Visit them in their mansion. I don't know what you're talking about, David. I missed part of the conversation, I guess. Are you talking show speed? Is that what you're referring to? You're talking about, yeah, of course. If you look, best example, Pokemon was already popular, but the moment Logan Paul talked about collecting Pokemon cards, it effing exploded. It exploded. People were beating themselves up at Walmart for packs. It exploded. So the second you get some kind of like celebrity, because here's a spoiler. No offense to Chris Hemsworth, or any of these people. No one cares about Hollywood people anymore. We don't. We really don't. Hollywood people are not as big as we think they are. They really like Thor. They don't really care about Chris Hemsworth. But YouTube influencers and social media influencers, they aren't playing a character. Yeah, maybe they are playing a character, but they are them, If Thor was promoting Transformers, that would do better than Chris Hemsworth promoting Transformers, as crazy as that sounds. Uh, where we at? Where we at? What did Aaron say? I think hockey has a golden snitch. I don't even know what that means. But it's just to me, it's you know, to me, it's something where they have to find all the right things, all the right things, and that's what I would do. That's legit what I would do. I would put a call out to all the big social media guys who are like the big social media guys. Again, no offense to Jay and Silent Bob, but Jay and Silent Bob promoting RoboSen on a Transformers stream only caters to the people who grew up on Jay and Silent Bob and Mallrats and stuff. I guarantee there's no Gen Alphas who know who Kevin Smith is. They don't, or Jason Mewes. They don't care. Who is that guy? Who is that guy? I don't know who that guy is. They don't care. They really don't. You'd be surprised. What was it I saw? There was a video recently. They asked a whole bunch of Gen Alpha black kids. They asked them, could you name one Spike Lee movie? One Spike Lee movie, and none of them could name one. And it was like, wow. Why? Because they don't care about that. They don't care about movies. They don't care about if they could name black celebrities in their current culture, but they couldn't mention the past because they don't care. They don't. They moved on. Orlando Chavez, do you think stories of warring aliens still get attention to kids on iPads? You could tell any story as long as it is appealing. War is always a story that could be told. It's just how do you wrap up that story? In the same way that pizza is great, pizza is always great. It's always about what are those toppings you put on there. Pizza with pepperoni, hey, people will always dig that. You put pizza with pineapple, you might lose some people, you know? So it's a different story. Guillaume, yes, Logan Paul helped manipulate the market for Pokemon. Yeah, but regardless if he manipulated the market, the point is his engagement with it made people care. Regardless if you like Logan Paul or not, I'm not a fan of him personally either. But the point is that it made a difference. Clark Clean Gaming with the gold super chat. Thank you, Clark. Proto Hasbro needs a video game that content creators can play. They can adopt Fortnite model. Well, I mean, just to go into that, one of my very good friends, Aaron Hansen, is a Let's Player. I've known him for, gosh, 25 years, Newgrounds days. And the thing is that I see it all the time. He gets sent a download code for free from some indie gamer. He plays that game on his Let's Play. Was it Game Grumps? He plays it on Game Grumps. That game does infinitely better because he's playing it. So it's something where if you send it to the right person and they promote it, and those people have an audience that are of that right demo, they play the games, they find it. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but let's be real. You know, let's be real. That's the reality of it. David Cabal, what do you think of the new Minecraft movie? I saw the trailer. We'll see. If anything, look how the trailer was for Transformers 1. You know? We'll see. Maybe it's a great movie, maybe it's not a great movie. I'm less of a Minecraft person and more of a Terraria kind of guy, if you know what I'm talking about. Um, so it's something where it's not for me anyways. So I'm not a proper judge of it. If I see the movie in a vacuum outside of Minecraft and it's an enjoyable movie, that's a different story. But I don't know. I don't know. I look at this movie and I kind of get these He-Man vibes, I guess is to put it. And I mean the old He-Man movie where they kind of looked at the source material He-Man and went, let's do an isekai for He-Man with the Dolph Lundgren one in the 80s, and we all know how well that turned out. So I'm seeing that with this Minecraft one here, where you're not really building a world, you're just doing an isekai, where could you build that? In the same way that like the Jumanji movies kind of just had two movies and there was nothing to build from that afterwards. Did it move more board games? Did it make any toys or product? No, it didn't. It didn't really build a world. But the first movie at least made money and the second one did okay. And yes, I like Jack Black. I think Jack Black's pretty cool. He's a big vinyl record guy, so I know my dad likes him also, but it doesn't matter if I like the actor or not. A bad movie's a bad movie, you know? I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not gonna, stand up for Last Action Hero, you know? So it has, act regardless if I like the actor or not, doesn't mean that they're free of doing bad movies or good movies. They're always guilty of that kind of stuff too. Even I'm not a big celebrity person in general though. I just kind of like people and that's kind of it, you know? I'm not going to be like, well, Jack Black's doing it and I like Jack Black, so I'm going to tune in regardless. No, it doesn't work like that, It doesn't work like just because I like Chris Evans as Captain America in a movie doesn't mean I'm going to tune in for every Chris Evans movie. I don't care. He's still just a dude, you know. Um, see, I don't even know what Airborne is. Sounds like Airplane, which was an old movie. What's your favorite Jack Black movie? I really, really like what do you call it there? Tenacious, not Tenacious. What was that movie he did there with the kids where he was doing music? That was really good. See, it just shows how much I give a crap about movies. That one was really good. Again, Mario was good. I loved Jack Black. Let's talk about video games for a second. Um, Jack Black did a video game for the PS3 and Xbox called geez, what was it called? It was so good though. And it was like a rock band kind of game where it was like a beat 'em up with a little bit of a strategy element to it. Man, what was that name of that game? But School Rock was the name of the movie. Thank you, James and Eyes on Ace. But what was the name of that game? I have it. What was the name of that game? It was really good. Great voice acting too. It was funny. Kung Fu Panda was fine, but it was a kids movie. What do you mean that Poe isn't the son of Brutal Legend? There you go. Thank you, Ninjatron. Brutal Legend. That's a fun game. That's a sleeper hit game. That you could pick up Brutal Legend for probably like $10 today. I hope so. Because that no one bought that game, but I liked it. It was good. I played it as a demo off of the PS3 store, and then I was like, I got to go out and buy this game. Has probably one of the most interesting uh, s- character select menus ever, like game select menus. It's with vinyl records and stuff. Really cool. Did I miss any other questions? My son is excited for the Minecraft movie, so that's 3 tickets sold. Well, again, it's the IP, so kind of like the Super Mario movie. If there's a built-in audience that loves it, hopefully they'll show up for it. You know, I feel, I feel 80% or 90% of hardcore Transformer fans showed up for Transformers 1. So that was taken care of. But that isn't going to save the movie. We need people who are not Transformer fans seeing Transformers 1. So it's the same thing. Minecraft is going to get their 80 to 90% hardcore fans. It's the non it's the non-hardcore fans that are going to be the ones that make the Minecraft movie successful. Yeah, Aaron knows it. Brutal Legend is a great IP and world building. Yeah, because it was like this. He's isekai to this crazy world. It has music elements to it. Jack Black is a great voice actor. The other voice actors that they got on there were really good too. I don't want to spoil it. Play that game. It's a really fun game. Short Circuit. There's an old school one with Johnny Five. Well, Tubi is where us old people go to watch old movies. What did I watch on Tubi recently? What did I watch on Tubi recently? Jeez. Oh, I watched Clerks 3 on Tubi recently, and I watched Scott Pilgrim was on Tubi recently. I rewatched that for a while. Johnny Five is alive. Scott Pilgrim movie, you know? I don't know, guys. It's something where the decision that they made at Hasbro, I hate to say it, but I feel like that's the direction that it needs to go. At the end of the day, it is a company that needs to make money. And the last thing I want them to do, in all honesty, the last thing I want them to do is to be really, really, really hardcore outsourcing Hasbro to other companies because some other companies might steer it good, but some other companies might steer it bad. And what I'm worried about is if they give it to another company and it steers it good, we don't even have those people in house. You could, like, let's say Todd McFarlane gets the Transformer brand and make some really good Transformer toys. And we love it and everything. And then Hasbro takes it back and now licenses it to someone else. And then we lose that world. We have that world forever, don't get me wrong. Hasbro still owns it in a sense, but they won't own the molds, you know? Like Hasbro can never go back and reissue any of their licensed products that they had from other stuff that was licensed out. Like they can't go like let's say 10 years from now, they can't do Reaction Super 7 stuff. They can't reissue that. So it's something where it kind of takes them out of their archive in a lot of ways. So I would always worry about that. Uh, Aaron Archer, we were talking a lot about content delivery and its connections to products. It's changing fast and its ways are very different than anything we can imagine. Someone asked what we're doing? Who asked that? You started rewatching Armada. Aaron, go rewatch Armada in Japanese. It's on YouTube. Type Micron Legend. Go rewatch it in Japanese. So that way you could kind of get a perspective of what was going on both sides of the globe. Like think about Aaron. Think about it this way. Armada in America. We had like flashlights, newspaper wrapping, present wrapping, because I remember there was Armada present wrapping. We had some lollipops and stuff like that, little products. Let me grab one here. Bubble gum dispensers, little bubble gum dispensers here. I love this thing. It's just so weird. I don't have the Armada Megatron one. I've yet to track that one down, but this one's a sealed one. That gum, forget about it. But there was little products here and there, but then you look at Japan, what they were doing with Micron Legend. My goodness, PVCs, die-cast cars, bed sheets, clothing. Let's just look up over here. Kabaya model kits, Kabaya non-transforming figures, a whole bunch of promotional items, a whole bunch of like promotional mini cons. Go to this location, that location. Pick up this, pick up that, get this exclusive mini con with this, get this exclusive mini con with that. Where's let me grab a issue of Figure King magazine. Which one should I grab? Oh my god, there's so many. Here, get this this is TV magazine, TV Kun magazine, get this exclusive mini con. Oh, what's the lore with this mini con? Because you got to explain it, right? Got to explain it. Bear with me because I got to get to the page. Japan's a different animal, though. Like that's how they do Ultraman and everything. But here we go, getting to the Micron stuff. Advertise that green spark plug, aka Prime. What's his lore? What's his story? All of that stuff. All of that goodness. All of that goodness gracious. High praise for a gumball machine. It's a cute little gun. It's one of those giant gumball machines where you twist it and the ball goes down like that, but it's a tiny one. But again, they tackled it that way. You're in a mood? You're not in a mood. You're not in a mood. Besides, it's not coming through in the text, so it doesn't make a difference. Well, Red Alert is my all-time favorite Armada toy. Then you must love RoboCop. You must love RoboCop. But yeah, it's just look the way it is, man. It's just the way it is. Proto, have you watched Go Shogun? Yes, I have. I just pre-ordered a fantastic figure for it. Which figure did you get from Go Shogun? Even has a combiner bots. Which figure did you get from Go Shogun? A new one? A recent one? Kind of curious about that one. But yeah, look, the way I see it is we got 15 minutes left. The way I see it right now, movies aren't going to help. I understand the burn because we love Transformers 1. We love, love, love Transformers 1. Can you fly, Bobby? No, Clarence, no. Again, 40-year-old reference. Do you love Transformers 1? Of course we all do. We want more Transformers 1. We want more of those stories. But we can't get it if it's not going to make money. We can't. They're not going to put themselves in that scenario. 5-star story. That's some good mecha right there. I have one or two model kits of 5-star story. Very unique designs. Very different from the typical 90s Gundam stuff that was happening at the time. I think it had an OVA series, like 5 episodes. Almost kind of like Vision of Escaflowne in a lot of ways. Timmy K. Point Dexter Esquire Proto, did you say having pineapple pizza for dinner? Hell no. I went to do rust proofing today for winter and everything. I always do that, and then I went and I got like this crazy. I call it the Jewish delicacy special. Pretty much, we went to this bagel place. We got sesame seed bagels, karnotzels, potato knishes of 3 different kinds: potato, pizza, and mushroom and broccoli. So we got all of those. You get all of that. So had all of that stuff. Amazing. And then I got 2 delicious steaks. Really good steaks. Delicious, delicious. So I'm gonna be eating good for the next 2 days. Let's put it that way. Hit a good, really, really good Jewish bakery that they have. That it's always funny because like they don't on Saturday, like there's no Jews that work there. They get all these like non-Jews that work there, and it's like there's so much good stuff. Because I think like the Jewish people they take the time off or something. Not the latkes. That's different. Potato latkes is different. This is potato. This is potato knishes, which are amazing, amazing. I walked into many years ago. I walked into a kosher pizza place as a kid, and I had my very first potato knish, and it just blew my mind. And I'm like, I need to have this all the time. So good. And the great thing about potato knish is you could buy them in bulk, and then you could just throw them in the microwave and have them throughout the day, and they always taste great. Love them. Love them, love them, love them. Ah, it's because it's Shabbat. There you go. Thank you, Dylan. Shabbat on Friday. I had a friend who was Methodist, something like that. He had the same thing where it's like Friday couldn't go out, and then Saturday night he could go out, something like that. I don't know. I'm not a religious person, so I'm unfamiliar with these things. I feel it's all limiting to me. I just want to go out and have a good time with my people that I love. Ain't working on Saturday. Yeah, well, that's why it was like it's this normally extremely Jewish bakery, but it was like Indian people working that day, and I'm like, all right, I don't care as long as the stuff is good. Doesn't matter to me. How you doing? Yeah, I'll take a dozen bagels and a whole bunch of knishes and karnotzels. Oh, God, so good. It's so good. So good. David Kabal, anyone watching Dragon Ball Daima? I am. I'm loving it thus far. Isn't the Jewish Sabbat Friday? Isn't it Friday night into Saturday night? What do I know? I don't know. What do I know? Ashnud, that's how I feel about Paxi. I would eat them every day if I could. I have no idea what that is, but it sounds good. We know we're at the end because we're talking about food now. But yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyways, so this is the only thing I got this week. Oh, and this is probably why this is the only thing I got this week. So again, a reminder to people, especially Patreon people, you are not going to be getting anytime soon your Transformer Slag podcast TFCon exclusive because Canada Post is being literally this is the notification update. Come on, give me some zoom here. Oh, great. Anyways, for the negotiations for the union through all this stupidity that's going on with Canada Post, I have a whole bunch of stuff. I no joke. I'm up to this point. I have like 18 packages I have to ship out, and it's just building up in my living room. And I just want to get them out there, and this is getting ridiculous. So sorry, guys. There's still delays. I literally have 2 sales that I've had to hold back on. I have to tell them like I can refund you, or you're gonna have to wait. It's nuts. it is getting nuts what's going on with Canada Post right now. It's been like almost like a week and a half, 2 weeks now. So I apologize for any people with the Patreon exclusives. They still have not shipped out yet. I will let you guys know when those have been shipped out. It has been crazy. Once again, a reminder, guys, I know you guys in the United States want free healthcare that's run by the government, but here's what happens when your government runs both your healthcare and your mail system. The mail system is a monopoly and we have no options. If we wanted to go to UPS, it's going to cost us an arm and a leg. Imagine shipping a envelope that's like no bigger than this and it's going to cost me like $50 because it's a whole other story. There's been a mail strike for a while now. It's been terrible. And yeah, I have gotten no packages in the mail. The only people that weren't affected were like places like Amazon because they have fulfillment centers and their own private like shipping establishments and stuff. But anything that goes through Canada Post, we've been screwed. We've been screwed right now. So if you are a patron that's waiting on the TFCon exclusives that I was going to ship out, just be patient. I don't know what's going on. I have 2 sales that I did of Transformer related product that haven't been shipped out. Just be patient. It's just been a mess. It's been an absolute mess. I am very quick with this otherwise. I always ship it out right away. I hate to leave people hanging and waiting for stuff. And I send out my, everything from tracking orders and stuff, but nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's definitely a Canada problem. It's not an American problem, just a Canadian problem. And I know what's going to happen. They're going to they're going to cave to the unions. They're going to increase the prices of shipping and everyone's going to suffer for it. So it is what it is, unfortunately. Timmy K points there, so there's still time to request one pro to request. The exclusives. I still have some left, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be shipped out anytime soon. That's the problem. You know, that's the problem. It's like I don't want to like take people's money for shipping and then nothing happens. So I would wait for now. I don't know when this like I'll trust me, I will definitely announce it here when we get back in business. It's pretty rough what's going on. Fair Lady Z, what about a sales code for Symbiote Studio Black Friday? I could ask them. I don't know. Is Symbiote in the chat right now? Symbiote, are you in the chat? Someone wants to know if you have a Black Friday sale or sales code. Just saying. If Symbiote's in the chat. Archer Monster. This was a good dialogue tonight. Good job, everyone. Thank you, Aaron. And other Hasbro people, if you're listening. But yeah, it's been it's been what it is, I think everything will be fine in the end. I feel that, Transformers is a boomerang. You throw it and, sometimes it has its trouble, but it always comes back. It's a rubber band. It just keeps coming back. So I feel right now, I said this on my Discord. I feel right now, this might be a bit of a hot take, a little bit. I feel right now we are in the post 86 movie era of our hobby. We just got a really fantastic movie that reinvents the lore and fiction that we expect from our product. And now we're going to be entering an era of rediscovery. We're going to have to figure out things. Sales are down. There's other stuff getting our money. In that case, back then it was Ninja Turtles and later on, Street Fighter and Power Rangers and stuff. But I think we're in that 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92 era. So we're kind of in that bubble right now. And we're reinventing ourselves. We're figuring out stuff. Other things are going to get the kids' attention. Other things are going to make money. We're going to try to do this. We're going to try to do that. But we're just trying to find ourselves. Because in that post 86 era, we had a couple of video games from Japan, that popped off. We had a Famicom Disk System Headmasters game and little things here and there. But we're going to come around. We always do. And I've said it so many times. Hasbro owns that brand, and they do not want to lose that brand. It's all they own that has any kind of weight and value, in all honesty, outside of Magic the Gathering and D&D. So they are not going to get rid of that. They are not going to sell that. They will sell Peppa Pig before they sell Transformers. They will sell My Little Pony before they sell Transformers. They will sell G.I. Joe before they sell Transformers. It is way too creative and powerful for them. They have too much of a co-synergy with Takara and that ownership that's shared. So that's another reason why I don't think they'll ever lose it. You don't want another Evolution Revolution because then that would be another Beast Machines. So, but you definitely need something new. You definitely need something new. You need another Beast Wars. That's what you need. You need another Armada going into movie co-development through a Brian Goldner, through someone who's a visionary, through an Aaron Archer that sees the pieces, and Brian Goldner who sees the pieces and has the networking connections, you know? But we're not there yet. Right now, we need to get a new audience. This is what happened. Aaron Archer era creates Armada. Kids grow up on Armada because they love Pokemon, because that's where the eyeballs were. Oh, kids love anime. Kids love collecting things. Armada was anime collecting things. You garnered that new era of kids. They were 5 years old when it was 2002, 2003 during Armada. Then they became 7 to 10-year-olds when the Michael Bay movies came out. There you go. Ready to go, kids. We did it. You built up the audience, then you put out the big movie that reinvents, you're good to go. So now it's again, we have to build up the audience through the video games, and then we could reinvent later, and let's go. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. As much as I love GoBot Remake, I don't think that's the way to go right now. That's really not. I don't think the world's ready for those names again. James says, "You think we could bring back lights and sounds like they did with the Knight Rider?" Well, we always have that. We always have that. It's just that it's the more gimmicky price points. That's all. Look, you want lights and sounds? It's on the shelves right now with Transformers One. That's all. It's just that that's the product that's aimed at a younger demo. We're not going to see it in stuff like Legacy and whatever's going to come afterwards, Age of the Primes, because that's a more older demo that it's aimed at. Gone are the days where you had like a Transformers Classics product that had lights and sounds. That was like the end of that era in a lot of ways, because Classics was an early idea of a collector-based kind of thing. Heck, even Masterpieces having lights and sounds is very limited outside of maybe a couple Beast Wars stuff now and everything. Where are we at here? We need a new Rock Lords movie. Oh gosh. If Rock Lords didn't save GoBots, if anything, it killed it. Look to the past on that one. Mike Prime sums up how I got into Transformers minus the 86 movie and 6 episodes of season 3. That's my story. 86 movie, a whole bunch of season 2 episodes that were playing in reruns on YTV before it got. I didn't even see much of season 3 on YTV. I remember someone told me that it got taken off the air in Canada, but I don't know. But then, of course, Generation 2 gave me all those season 1 and 2 episodes that I missed, which G2 at least had that purpose. And then I was able to revisit some of those toys through G2. And then whatever garage sales had back then, when garage sales actually had stuff. It's a different world today. Now garage sales are a waste of time. But, different story. James, what do you think of Mech Tech? Well, it was good. It did what it had to do back then, but that's when that more toyetic kind of world existed during the Aaron Archer era, where there was more that play element. Now everything, to quote Aaron, is replica. Let's make it look like the screen and don't put those bells and whistles. Don't put something like this. Wouldn't be in a Transformer toy today if it's not aimed at a younger demographic. Something like this, the closest thing you have to a gimmick is, the chest opens. That's it. But there would be no light up fist, and the matrix wouldn't glow, and it wouldn't have like a button you push on the back that would do this. Different era. That would be a fast action battler. A Mecha Live kind of thing. I mean, look how they do Armada characters that don't have the spring-loaded gimmick in it. They'll put the Minicon port or a peg for it, but you got to manually flip out that axle of doom that Hotshot has, T-Formers 2002 Beast Machines could use a good return. Everyone's just too chicken. Well, if everyone looks at history, Beast Machines was the only time that Transformers was forced to lower its MSRP due to extremely low sales. The blue packaging was the bane of retail. So I'm going to go with no, even though it would be kind of cool to see some of those designs revisited, like a Night Scream, definitely, even though I don't like Night Scream. He just needs a new toy. At the same time, no. Sure, we'll see some of them, a Strika, a Tankor, some of those trademarks. Unfortunately, because they only exist within the Beast Machine's atmosphere, you could only really do that. You know, if you're going to do a Tankor, it's going to be Beast Machines because there's no other Tankors out. You know, okay, you're going to, oh, there was a Tankor that was used for a repaint of a Micromaster train vehicle. Oh, but there was a Tankor that was used for Octane's name in classics because they, you know what I'm talking about. That's why we haven't gotten to Botanica yet, in my opinion. It's just because she comes from that world. I think we'll sooner get a Sorry figure before anything else. Mike Prime 21 had the Transformers movie on VHS and 3 VHS tapes of Web World, Killing Jar, and McAdam's Paradise, and Grimlock's New Brain, and Return of Optimus Prime Part 1 and 2. Sounds like you had the FHS tapes from back in the day. That's what they were. Even the Return of Optimus Prime Part 1 and 2 was touted on the back as the sequel to the movie. Unofficial sequel. Yeah, Animated Striker. But Animated Striker was pulling from the Beast Machines one. And ultimately, in the end, because they didn't have to use the trademark, we never got a toy. They didn't bother with it. Because if I remember correctly, we had Alpha Striker, Alpha Striker, which was a, what do you call it? Oh my God, I'm blanking on the names of them. Anyways, whatever. Too tired right now. JR Mino, what's up, man? Coming late. We're almost done. Actually, we are done. I'll take one more question, and then we'll call it quits for today, guys. How about that? We will take one more question, and then we are wrapping it up today because we are more than meets the eye. Sorry would make a great blocky. That's something that, Fair Lady Z, that's a very good idea. Well, we got our first animated blocky through that Galaxy Defenders price point. We got animated Bumblebee's alt mode, so we'll see what happens. Tiny turbo changers. Thank you, T-Formers 2002. I'm looking at her tiny turbo changer, all orange. I'm just tired. It's a long day. Wouldn't mind seeing a prime arachnid, I guess you're saying. Well, we'd like to see an arachnid that doesn't suck. That's from the Transformers 1 line too. Have a safe trip in Japan. We'll see what happening. The Japan trip was delayed, unfortunately, due to reasons I can't say because it's business related. But it has been delayed. I will keep you guys posted on that. When I know more about it sooner, I will let you know when I will be absent. It might be delayed to next month. It might be delayed to March. There's a lot of stuff going on, needless to say. But when you find out, you're going to think it's pretty hype. Let's put it that way. But I can't talk about it. So, but very, very cool. Anyways, guys, we're going to call it quits for tonight. So once again, thank you for coming onto the Transformer Slag podcast and keeping you educated, entertained, and informed about the robots in disguise because they are more than meets the eye. And once again, like I always say, take care of your friends, your families, and your loved ones. It's a beautiful world out there with a lot of beautiful people and a lot of cool stuff in it. Don't focus on the negative because, in all honesty, it's not going to get you anywhere in your life. People who focus on the positives tend to be more successful, oddly enough. Wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Tim, Twins Corner with the last question here. Here's hoping the next show is similar to TF1. Well, stay tuned. I'm out of here, guys. Take care of yourselves. And as always, and go check out Aaron's stuff too. And as always, roll out.